Hi, I'm Liz Degnan, and I want to thank you for taking the time to check out my presentation. So the topic is how we can build a community of young readers, build the skill and love for reading. And what I'm really going to focus on more is the love aspect. So I'm going to give a brief overview of reading in childhood. I'm going to talk about leisure reading, what it is, why it's important, and the crux of the presentation is on ways to foster leisure reading. So let's get started. So taking a quick look at reading through childhood, when babies are born, they're generally read to. You get them the fat board books, the little skinny minis that keep getting lost in the car. And as they get to school, we begin to read with them. The picture books, chapter books, easy readers. And then as they get into first and second grade, they start to get leveled. And we start to assess their reading, and we start to focus in on reading as a skill. And then by middle school, they're reading alone, most children are, but the focus is not on leisure reading, it's on skill reading. And so research shows that leisure reading begins to decline in middle school. So then if we take a look at what happens in high school by the average teen, we see that the time spent reading gets snuck in there somewhere under other leisure. So our teens have an average over 5 hours of time spent on leisure. They spent about 3 hours on screen, which would be phones, computers, tablets, spent about an hour and 15 minutes socializing, and snuck in there somewhere is other leisure. So let's try and get a little better picture of what chunk of that hour and 27 minutes could be spent reading. We can get an idea if we take a look at the American Time Use Survey. And what that shows us is that high school and college students report reading for about 7 minutes. 7 minutes. So let's get a look at 7 minutes. So far in this presentation, it's about 3 minutes. So by the time we're over, maybe a third of it will be 7 minutes. You may have spent 7 minutes driving over here. So it's really not that much time, leisure reading. So what is leisure reading? I put the definition here so that we can understand, and it's the independent self-selected reading of a continuous text for a wide range of personal and social purposes. Really what we can think of it as reading for fun. When you just pick up a book and just read it, and you're not putting the post-it notes in it, and you're not highlighting it, and you're not worried about flagging it or memorizing it, you're just reading it for fun. And with technology, we now can read not just physical books, but we could read ebooks, we can read blogs, we can read newspapers on our phones, so really the amount of stuff we can read has expanded. Why is leisure reading important? Well, research shows us that academically, leisure reading has connected with improved reading comprehension, improved achievement scores, and reduced academic stress. So school-wise, if a student just reads for the heck of it and reads for fun, they're likely to have higher scores and less stress. In addition, leisure reading is also connected with expanded general knowledge, and it fosters empathy. So students who are engage in leisure reading tend to know more and be more empathetic with people. So there are other, research shows us that leisure reading is a good thing. So what can we do to try and increase that 7 minutes and build up on that? So clearly if they have 5 hours plus, we have a little time to play with, I think. So what are some ways that we can make reading fun? Well, first, I think we can try and make it a habit. So get books regularly, and whether it be You go to the library or your local bookstore. Maybe just make it part of your routine. What's near your regular routes? Do you know, one of our main branches of the library is right by Trader Joe's. So can you pop in for 10 minutes and pick out a book with your child and then maybe pop over to Trader Joe's? There's right on the way to the YMCA and Count Basie Fields where a lot of practices are held. You're going to pass a local bookstore and 2 libraries. So can we connect it in with a trip like that? Maybe stop there either on the way to practice or on the way home from practice. Also, let's take a look at different formats. As I mentioned before, the great thing about technology is that we have more options for reading material. What about an audiobook? You guys can maybe select an audiobook with your child and pop it in the car so that when you're driving to wherever you're driving, school, practices, meetings, you can listen to a book and talk about the book. Also, let's not discount graphic novels. Why not read them for fun? They are incredibly popular and they blend visual images and text, so why not? And also blogs. What are people thinking? Another thing you could do is read with your child or alongside of them. So read yourself, share a book with them, or just read a similar book. Trevor Noah has a biography, Born in Crime, and there's an adult version and there's also a juvenile version. So you could both read his book and then talk about it. Books can also be paired with videos. My goodness. Flipped, The Outsiders, oh my goodness, Marvel, DC, so many, Cinderella. There's so many different versions and you can just pick one and then the other and do both and make it interesting and talk about how they're the same and different and which one do you like better and what aspects do you like better. So, that's another great option. And the last suggestion is just think about maybe incorporating poetry into your child's life and into your life. Poetry is pretty quick, didn't command a lot of attention, but it can also be really intriguing and thoughtful and evoke a lot of feelings and discussion. So in the references, there's 2 websites, poets.org and Favorite Poem Project, and check them out and just see, that might be a good option for your family. What types of books? A lot of times we have, like what should I have my child read? They're reading this, there's this level. Let it go. Let your reader choose their books, their material to read. We're going to think about leisure reading as enjoyment. Levels are out the window. Do they want Captain Underpants? Go grab it. Do you want a fairy book? Yes, go take it. My son found that he likes sneakers, so he won't read a lot of books, but if we find one that's about sneakers or sneaker design, then that tends to be a win-win. Also, when your child picks out a book, maybe think about why are they picking it out. Books can be windows and mirrors, and it can kind of give you an idea of what your child might be thinking or going through. And it might also be a way for him or her to express themselves or feel comfortable sharing something, kind of give a platform. So in regards to leisure reading, kind of don't worry about the level. It can be younger, it doesn't matter. Where can you get ideas? So if your child doesn't know, I don't know what I feel like reading, take a cue from people. I put this quote from an author, kids are often curious about what the librarian chooses to read and fascinated by what their teachers are reading, including coaches, school staffs, etc. So they're kind of look at, have them ask or take a look at, what do you think Coach might read? Somebody who's influential in their lives, and get an idea. So if they don't have any, if they're not giving you any suggestions, if you're like, oh, what do you want to read? And they're like, oh, maybe, do they like a certain sport? Maybe that could be a good option. Do they like to cook? What are their interests in? And then ask family, friends, and staff, what they're reading, and kind of get ideas from them. There's also tools from the library online that can get what we call read-alikes. So when you do find that book that kind of sparks your child's interest, there are ways to kind of build on that and expand on that. And I'm going to give a little highlight on EBSCO's Novelist Plus. And take a look at this video. Hi, so for this part of the presentation, I just want to give you a quick tour of Novelist K-8 Plus. So if you're looking for books for your child and you don't really know what to get, this is a good tool that's available to you. So I'm at the Monmouth County Library website, and I go to the research databases, and you'll see it's right here. So I'm going to click on Login. I would need my library card number, key that in, and sign in. And this is the screen that you're going to see. And the home page, you see that it's broken down: teens, ages 9 to 12, ages 0 to 8, and fiction and nonfiction. So it's a good starting point. And if you just think like, oh, maybe the best of is a good list to start, you can see that list, and it pops up. Okay, so this is just one tool that's available to you. The other feature that I wanted to highlight through Novelist is the read-alikes. So if there's a book that your child likes or that you liked, and you maybe want to get different books to recommend for him or her, you can go to this top, switch it to title, and I'm just going to take Are You There? God, It's Me, Margaret. Judy Blume. It's a nice, fun classic. So here's the book, and then if you look over to the right, you see read-alikes. So that's another way that you can get ideas for books or material for your child to read. And this tool is also available for you as an adult. So you would just go to the Novelist Plus. All right? So we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, so we have that tool available as well. Also, lastly, if your child doesn't know what he or she wants to read again, so you can ask your coaches or yourself or other people. You can check the databases for read-alikes. Also, take a look at the newspaper, the New York Times, which I know many here read locally, and the Wall Street Journal, many read here locally. They have lists of bestsellers and recent books, children's books as well. So take a look there and see, maybe that would spark some interest. And also kind of, if you can, take some time to look at some blogs and see kind of what your child might be interested in. And maybe you can start sharing blogs with your child, or maybe ask your child to share it with you, and different websites. And I'm including in here, these are other, if you're still really stuck, or even if you just want to take some time to explore these sites, there's some great tools here. If we just take a look at Booklist. Oh, there's going to be a lot of COVID stuff. Well, that's not going to work. Maybe Kirkus would be better. This looks a little better. Okay, so if we look at book reviews, we can see children's books, teens books. So this gives you what's hot, what are the publishers like, what are the reviewers like, what are the pros like. So that can be a helpful tool in terms of if you're stuck, if your child's stuck, explore it and see what's out there. You might find something you like. Again, take a look here, and lastly, definitely keep in touch with myself in the library. Keep in touch with your teachers, the school librarians. The more we all talk and communicate, I think the we can share.